All right, everybody. I should have did a radio check. Can you guys hear me? Radio check, radio check. Let me put this up here. Let me put this here. Should be good to go. All right, y'all. How we doing? What up, Xavier? Everybody check in. How we doing? How we doing? Yeah, Facebook, I sounded like a robot earlier today. I don't know what the hell that was about. I went live on Facebook to discuss another issue that we're having. It's all posted in Discord. But good afternoon, everybody. Good night slash good morning, whatever time it is for you. It's 12:20 in the morning my time. But good afternoon, everyone in the United States. We're going to be going into the latest news and events within the war in Ukraine. I'm live here in Kyiv, Ukraine. We're still here. I'm here for a while still yet. And I'm just blessed to be here. I love our Good Morning Kyiv streams that we do every day. It's awesome, right? Shout out to everybody that tunes into that. What up, Vikings Wheel Gaming? Everybody drop a comment. What city, what state, where in the world you're tuned in from, if you could, please. And also leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, especially if you're new. It really does help get the algorithm cooking, especially since I'm going live at a different time than usual. It's like an off time, but it is Sunday, so there likely will be a lot of people that can tune in today. Oh, we got Buena Vista, Arkansas, Minneapolis, Minnesota. No, we got Manchester. We got Joshua Tree. We got Cambridge, Ontario. We got Des Moines, Iowa. We got Ontario Oblast. How we doing? Oh yeah, that's right. How we guys doing? We got a like button. We got Chicago is tuned in. Fort Smith, Arkansas tuned in. Denmark is tuned in. Fresno, California. Ontario, Canada, Florida, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Afternoon from Wisconsin. All right, before we get started, official news. We got some notes from Mercado Media. Every time that something changes, I do have to let you guys know. I had announced before we had came here that I wasn't going to pursue any type of legal action against another uh, pro-Ukraine YouTube channel, and that's changed now. When I get home, I'm doing it, and that's that. All right, we're going to take care of it and we're going to end this bullshit once and for all. I'm tired of my community being harassed by these losers. They've dug up CJ. If you guys know who CJ Halliburton is from CJ TV, they dug him up out of the grave and he decided to throw his hat into it. But I already went over that in Facebook earlier today. You can go check out the Mercado Media Facebook page and watch about an hour worth of diving into CJ and the history there. But they brought him out, and it's now time to uh, action at this point. And I said I wasn't going to because I wanted to focus on everything that we're doing here, but it's impossible, absolutely impossible. And we're going to be taking care of that legally. All right. And that's that. So we're going to go into the latest news and events for the evening. We got combat videos, tons of news articles we're going to be diving into and the like every time that we go through it. So basically the same type of news that we got for you guys on a nightly basis, but I'm doing it on my laptop. And the other thing is we are very, very close to finishing our third truck. And you guys were so correct, right? We were on our fourth run, like we're like doing two vehicles at the same time right now. We're like a little under 6,000 euro for the fourth truck, but we're like damn near done with the third one. But we got to get the third one done, especially if you guys want me to be on the September convoy. If you guys want me to come back to Ukraine again pretty quickly, we got to finish off this third truck, you guys, and it's so, so close. Let me close this out. Let me pull this up here. We are so close, you guys. I actually adjusted the link in the description. Man, if we could finish this by like tonight or tomorrow, that would just be excellent. If seriously, if we could. Like I contributed last night about a little under $900 and I posted, but I did it to the wrong one. Well, it's not the wrong one. They're both right. It doesn't matter like if it's to the new one or this one, but look at how close we are on this one. We're at 42,868 euro and we need to get to 46,500 euro. So if we could finish that like tonight, tomorrow night, we could get me on the September convoy with this truck, which is to the special forces of Ukraine, right? We're doing two of them right now, though. We have a medical vehicle, but I adjusted the link in the description so that way it matches this. So it matches this one. So let's finish this one off. We're literally we're right on we're like 92% done. Very, very close, you guys. So if you click the link, it'll take you to this. 340 donations. This is 3 vehicles worth, because it's still the total from the first 2. The one that went to the 5th Slobozan Brigade, obviously the one that I'm here that we brought with for the 36th Marine Brigade, and then now this final vehicle on this one is the dog tag campaign, and we're like literally right there. We're so close. Like, what is it? By like 3,000 shit. 3,300 euro maybe away. Like, that is really like very, very close. So I'll double check this every time, like after we go through a couple news articles and we see if we can get it there. But if you guys want me to get back to Ukraine faster than you expect, we got to finish this off. I mean, I can't just I'm not just gonna come here to hang out, y'all, and just be here in Ukraine. Like, I'm here in Ukraine. I know you guys like the morning news show and whatnot that we're doing, but we really need to be bringing things to the Ukrainian soldiers if I'm going to be here. All right, so we got to have a purpose. So let's get this 3rd vehicle fundraised. I put about $900 into it last night. This week when I get paid, I'm going to put even more in. All right, and hopefully we can finish this one. But even on the other one, we are like, I don't even want to put it up because we're like, we're getting there. We're like already a quarter of the way there on the new vehicle. But we got to get this one. So we're probably going to have 4 vehicles here very quickly. Let's get this 3rd one fundraised. News and events of the day. Putin says Russia has sufficient stockpile of cluster bombs as Ukraine gets its own supply from the US. So Putin is doing this whole pretending as if the Russians weren't using cluster munitions on Ukraine for like the last year and a half, right? In the invasion. He's just pretending like that didn't happen. So he's saying like he's doing like a new whataboutism and like rewriting history, and basically saying that, you know, if Ukraine's going to be getting these cluster munitions, then we're going to be using them, except for the fact that the Russians have been using them, and they've been using them like vividly. We've seen videos of them using them. It's nothing brand new. Russia, Ukraine, and the United States did not sign the cluster bomb treaty or whatever in 2008 that other Western countries did. Yeah, we didn't do that. So Vladimir Putin, fuck off. In his first comments on the delivery of cluster munitions to Ukraine from the US, Putin said that Russia hasn't used cluster bombs in the war with Ukraine so far, but the use of cluster bombs by both Russia and Ukraine has been widely documented, including by the Associated Press and international humanitarian organizations, and cluster rounds have been found in the aftermath of Russian strikes. Until now, we have not done this, we have not used it, and we have not had such a need, he said. Right. We have not had such a need, moron. Russia has killed hundreds of civilians in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kyiv using indiscriminate shelling and cluster munitions in 2022. Russian forces repeatedly use 9N210, 9N235 cluster bombs, as well as scatterable munitions. So, I mean, just examples of cluster munitions being used in Kyiv last year by the Russians. Okay, again, Vladimir Putin is trying to say, oh, well, if Ukraine's going to use them, then we will use them type shit. But again, they've been using them this entire time. Right, that was one video. Here's more. Cluster munitions being used in Kyiv. Here's more. That was on February 28th, 2022, that last one there. So when they're saying, "Oh, we will use them now," type shit, they've been using them. It's nothing new. Of course, we got to talk about it right away. Elon Musk's platform here on Twitter is just complete and utter just Russian misinformation now. It's what we're at now. So, New York Times reported on October 20th, 2014, that the Ukrainian government dropped cluster bombs on Russian-speaking Ukrainians in Donetsk. How many Americans know that Ukraine started dropping cluster bombs on civilians in eastern Ukraine in 2014? And then they post a snippet of the article. I have the full article here in a second, but this is the snippet from Andrew Roth in 2014. Donetsk, Ukraine. The Ukrainian army appears to have fired cluster munitions on several occasions into the heart of Donetsk, unleashing a weapon banned in much of the world into a rebel-held city with a peacetime population of more than 1 million, according to physical evidence and interviews with witnesses and victims. Again, number one, it's banned in much of the world, but Ukraine never signed the treaty. It never did. The United States didn't do it, neither did Russia. Okay, that's just fact right there. So they can write in the article there that much of the world doesn't use it. Well, fucking Ukraine never signed the treaty. Okay, not Ukraine's problem. And also, Ukraine wouldn't have been firing any munitions at Donetsk if the Russians didn't come in and occupy Donbass and put their little green men all over the civilian population. We talked to Rick the Ukrainian, who lived under Russian occupation in Donbass, in Donetsk, and they put artillery right next to their homes for the point that, if Ukraine's going to fire back, they're going to kill civilians too. You know what I mean? That's exactly what Russia did. It's like this exactly their move in the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, where they occupy the plant and they know that Ukraine likely won't be targeting it because it's a nuclear plant, and that's just the type of shit that they do. Sites where rockets fell in the city on October 2nd and 5th showed clear signs that cluster munitions had been fired from the direction of Army-held territory, where misfired artillery rockets were still containing cluster bomblets and were found by villagers in farm fields. So they just posted that. No further, right? We're going to go through the whole article, though, from 2014, because, I mean, that's just literally a snippet, and this Kanoka the Great Twitter account is just a full-on Vatnik, banned by Vijaya and resurrected by Elon, independent citizen journalist. And then also they posted this on top of this tweet, which was basically saying that Yanukovych was overthrown, and it was a democratically elected Ukrainian government at the time refused to sign an agreement with the European Union and a loan from the International Monetary Fund. That's not what happened. It was they were going into the European Union. Ukrainians overwhelmingly supported this move for a better economy, and they wanted to be part of the West. And Vladimir Putin came in at the very last minute and said, actually, nah, actually, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to take a deal from us instead, because Yanukovych is a Russian puppet. I'm actually going to be going to his house here in Ukraine and take photos of it, of how Yanukovych lived. He's got like just a big compound here and it's got like a massive mansion. He's got a zoo in there. He's got a lake in there, a golf course. Like, just lived like a oligarch, just lived like a billionaire type of a piece of shit. But just complete garbage here. It's just garbage on top of garbage.
Protesters are calling, looking to topple an elected government.
It's not an easy job to topple the government, to change the president, to sign an association agreement, but this is our agenda.
We are waiting that President Yanukovych return back to Brussels and sign that agreement.
Exactly, because the Ukrainians wanted to sign the agreement. But of course, this video, with the way that the cuts are and the way that the music's playing, and they're making it seem like this is like the Revolution of Dignity, Maidan, Euromaidan, was just overthrowing the government and shit. Like, this is the whole Russian propaganda point of it, and it's just garbage nonsense, just absolute garbage nonsense. And then of course the site owner responds with his little stamp of an exclamation mark. I'm surprised he didn't say concerning this time or anything, but Elon Musk, who owns the Twitter platform now, 148.2 million followers, always will put a little anecdotal note on something to get it boosted. And it just so happens that it's always Russian propaganda at this point, or like misinformation. So let's go through that whole article that they had tagged and posted from the New York Times. And again, the New York Times did dog shit reporting. It's so funny. It's so hilarious. These same people will shit on New York Times and call it mainstream news. They'll call it the mainstream media and say the New York Times is not credible. But yet, when it comes to serve their own interests, they will definitely use the New York Times at all times, like every single time. So here we go. So let's pick up from the farm fields part. So the two attacks wounded at least 6 people and killed a Swiss employee of the International Red Cross based in Donetsk. If confirmed, the use of cluster bombs by the pro-Western government could complicate efforts to reunite the country, as residents of the East have grown increasingly bitter over the Ukrainian army's tactics to oust pro-Russian rebels. Again, the whole of East was full of Russian propaganda. The Russians were propagandizing it. We talked to Rick the Ukrainian, who lived under Russian occupation the entire time, and they were being fed with Ukraine, right, anti-Ukraine narratives and being pushed with pro-Russian narratives the entire time. And also, Ukrainian army would not be firing at anything in Donetsk and or Donbass as a whole if the Russian rebels and the Russian military didn't come in and put their military in it, because they were there. It wasn't this magical uh, Russian speakers in the East that decided to come and form a People's Republic and fight against the Ukrainian government. Fuck no. There was like a group of about 20 of them that went to a government building in 2014 prior to the Euromaidan, and like or excuse me, is it prior or after? I got to get clarified on that, but there's like a group of about 20 individuals, and then Russians use that as the excuse to come on in and bring their little green men in, the Wagner group, and start posting military and big weapon systems all over the civilian population, right? Because that's like when the invasion had really began was in 2014, but the full scale invasion began last year. Further, in a report released late Monday, Human Rights Watch says the rebels have most likely used cluster weapons, like rebels, exactly. Like that language is just such bullshit. The way that this was written, rebels, dude. There were Russian military in there. And, there's like a group of about 20 of them that went to that administration building and protested outside of it, and then Russia used that as the excuse to bring their own troops in. So when they say rebels here, this fucking article is already flawed. The Army's use of cluster munitions, which showered small bomblets around a large area, could also add credibility to Moscow's version of the conflict, which is that the Ukrainian government is engaged in a punitive war against its own citizens. Type shit, right? Like trying to, oh, this isn't going to look good for the Ukrainian government, while Russia literally like invaded already and they had their own soldiers in Donbass. Like it was already started. It wasn't the full scale that shit that we're seeing now, but they already had their little green men in the Russian territory. Well, this article is like, oh, Ukraine, blah blah blah. They better not. They can't fire back. They can get fired upon. The Russian military can place their artillery and their own weapon systems in civilian populated areas to continue attacking Ukraine like the rest of Ukraine, but Ukraine can't fire back. It's like the same type of narrative now, or anything Ukraine does, it gets propagandized as like they're the aggressor, when Russia fucking brought their people here, they brought their military here, and they continue to push this invasion, right? The 2 October strikes occurred nearly a month after President Petro Poroshenko of Ukraine signed a ceasefire agreement with rebel representatives. It's pretty clear that cluster munitions are being used indiscriminately in populated areas, particularly in attacks in early October in Donetsk City, said Mark Hinze, senior arms researcher at Human Rights Watch, in emailed comments after the report was completed. The military logic behind these attacks is not apparent, and these attacks should stop because they put too many civilians at risk. And keep in mind that it was the Russians had their military there. They had artillery there, positions in the region. Okay, they had people there, and it was the only choice that they could do to fight back. They were trying to fight back with anything that they could. Otherwise, in the east, the Russians would have likely been starting to increase their positions if Ukraine didn't fight back at all, which is what Russia wanted and what the people that simp for Russia wanted. They never want Ukraine to fight back. They want Ukraine to be taken over by Russia completely. However, munition fragments around in and around Donetsk and interviews with witnesses indicate that the cluster munitions that struck on October 2nd and 5th were most likely fired by Ukrainian troops stationed southwest of the city, according to Human Rights Watch in a review by the Times. Witnesses there reported seeing rocket launches from those troops positioned toward the city at times that coincided with the strikes. Human Rights Watch said its report that cluster munitions have been used against the population centers in eastern Ukraine at least 12 times, including the strikes on Donetsk during the conflict, and possibly many more. Right? I thought it was I thought the narrative was 8 years. Right? Wasn't it 8 years and tens of thousands of people that they say of the bombing of the Donbass? But I mean, even in the flawed article from 2014 here, it even says just 12 times. The report said that both sides are probably there you go. The report says that both sides were probably culpable in attacks that many amount to war crimes in a grinding conflict that has claimed 3,700 lives, including those of many civilians. So the official report already shines light that it's both the Russians and it was the Ukrainian military at the time in 2014 that were literally, I mean, they're in a fucking artillery battle over the east. There's gonna be casualties with that, right? Especially when the Russians are putting their artillery and their weapon systems on top of civilian populated areas. It's either that or Russia continues to put their military in areas that they can commit maximum terrorism and then not expect repercussions, like at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, for example. So it's 3,700 lives, including many civilians. But again, even within this, they said right here, the report said that both sides were probably culpable, right? The report, which included incidents uncovered by the Times, says there is a particularly strong evidence that Ukrainian government troops carried out the 2 October attacks against Donetsk. In August, cluster munitions attack on the village of Starbolshev, which was in the Ukrainian army hands, was probably carried out by either pro-Russian rebels or by Russian troops, the report says. So, I mean, even within this article that, again, Elon Musk and these morons didn't share the whole thing. It even says that the Russians were using cluster munitions as well back in 2014, right? The whole thing where they just try to focus on what Ukraine is doing, and they still do that to this day. It just feeds into the Russian propaganda nonsense. Beginning in October, a series of strikes against Donetsk using certain cluster weapons fired from the Uragan rockets came from the southwest of the city. The timing of the two rocket launches from the same location corresponded to cluster munition strikes that hit Donetsk from a southwesterly trajectory, according to Human Rights Watch and the Times. Shelling of cities has been common in the conflict, and the ceasefire agreement has not ended the violence. A chemical plant on the outskirts of Donetsk was struck on Monday, and the resulting shock wave shattered windows for miles around. On the morning of October 5th, Boris V. Melikov, 37, was chopping wood outside his house in the Golokova neighborhood of Donetsk when he heard a loud clap of an explosion from the streets. His first sensation was a strong push in the back, he said, sprawled on the grass. More explosions followed. Showering Mr. Melikov with dust and dirt, unable to stand, he crawled toward a spigot in the garden, bleeding profusely and desperate for water. I felt the blood running down my back, down my leg, he recalled in an interview. Doctors there found several medical fragments in his leg, chest, shoulder, and hand. So they just went into the civilians getting interviewed about that, about the cluster munitions being used in Donetsk in 2014. Villagers said they also seen rockets with cluster bomblets up close. They said several of the rockets misfired on October 3rd and landed in sunflower fields south of the village with their payloads still intact. At the Red Cross headquarters in Donetsk, Human Rights Watch researchers, accompanied by a Times reporter, documented 19 distinct impacts of cluster submunitions from the October 2nd attack. This is just so skewed already. This whole thing is just so fucked because they had people in the Russian occupied territories in the Donbass, and they were reporting from the behalf of the Russians still at this time. And that's why they use this and they propagandized 2014 in the mainstream news reporting of that time so often, because they never challenged the Russian narratives. They never challenged anything that the Russians were doing for the reasoning for being there or why they had their military there or anything. It was just, oh, Russians are here now. All right, now we're on the Russian side. Let's start reporting what Ukraine's doing to fight back against their invasion of their territory. And it's just fucked. It's just absolutely fucked. But that's what the Russian misinformation machine does, is they'll use the reporting from back then, from the lazy reporting that was done of showing just what Ukraine was doing to defend their territory from the Russians that were invading. And they had little green men. They had Russian troops in Donbass already at that time. and that was before that they had moved into Crimea with the actual Russian military in the position. So it's just horseshit. Pulling up that article, pulling that out of 2014 is just again more for the simps and propagandists to appease to the Russian state media. There's our total. We're getting there. We are getting there. What do we have? 43,164 euro out of 46,500 euro, which is just absolutely awesome. If you guys could please like the stream, make sure you're subscribed to Mercado Media on YouTube if you haven't done so yet. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in to the nightly stream. So that's the cluster munitions information. Putin says Russia will use cluster bombs in Ukraine if it has to. Yeah, they already have. They literally already have. And then propagandists that like sit on Putin's words needed to pull up a 2014 article and just show that, hey, listen, look, Ukraine's already been using cluster munitions. And they completely ignored that Russia was also using them, and the entire point that Ukraine wouldn't be using any type of munitions on any cities if Russia hadn't brought their troops to the Ukrainian border and put them in Donbass. It like is just a conundrum to me. It's just a lack of common sense here. But again, that was the reporting in 2014. They love using it. They love using it. So expect more cluster munitions to be used, it looks like, from Russia, even though that they've already been using them. So other news on the Russian front here. Russia fires another commander as part of an ongoing purge from the independent study of war. Moscow has reportedly cut another high-ranking military officer, high-ranking military official as a part of an ongoing purge of subordinate commanders, according to a new assessment. Major General Vladimir Silovritsov, a Russian paratrooper commander, was removed from his post as head of the 106th Guards Airborne Division, Russian sources reported on Saturday. This has not been confirmed by Russia's Ministry of Defense, and Newsweek reached out for a comment via email. The report suggests that the removal of Salermostov may be a part of an ongoing purge of insubordinate commanders by the Russian military command. Yeah, insubordinate, all right. They're being sent to the meat grinder, and they're not trying to do that no more. They're revealing truths about the failures of the Russian military in Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin's not having it right now. They're getting canned, they're getting gulagged, windowed, key. I mean, they just lost a big commander a couple days ago. So this is the second commander within a week now. Big major Russian general. Salermostov's reported dismissal could indicate that the corrosion of the Russian chain of command in Ukraine is accelerating, the think tank added. Throughout the war in Ukraine, Western analysts have said Moscow's forces struggle with ineffective command structures and lack of trust or transparency through the ranks. The 106 Guards Airborne are thought to have taken on a key role in Russia's operations in the fiercely contested city of Bakhmut in recent weeks. Reports of Saleritsov's removal came just days after Major General Ivan Popov, which again, this happened within the same week, commander of the 58th Combined Arms Army in Russia's southern military district, said he was stripped of his position after raising complaints with the Kremlin from the Ukrainian front lines in the southern Zaporizhia region. In a message shared on social media by Russian Duma member and state media commentator Andrei Gurevov, Popov said he had raised his concerns, which included a lack of counter-battery systems, to officials at the highest levels. It is necessary to either keep quiet and be a coward or say it the way it is, he said, in one translation published by the BBC. Popov's message was intended for his troops, the British Defense Ministry said on Saturday, and amounted to a scathing attack on the top officials at the Ministry of Defense. Popov accused the Ministry of Defense's commanders of hitting us from the rear, viciously beheading the army at the most difficult and intense moment the British government responded. Popov's comments drew attention to a serious disaffection many officers likely harbor towards the senior military leadership. So Popov is likely no longer with us. Who knows, right? You have no idea. This new commander is being replaced. So let's check this out, this video about the whole thing. Probably going to be an ad first. Oh, no ad. Thank God. Oh, maybe an ad. Let's see what happens here. Okay, no ad, thank God.
Field.
No. One more time. Okay, nice. Why?
there's an internal kind of division going on between the conventional military, represented by Gerasimov, with whom I've met, Shoigu, the defense minister, who I know as well, and on the other side, a man named Pirogozin, who is a leader of the Wagner Group.
Okay, I know I say his name incorrectly on purpose. I call him Prigozhin, but boy, what kind of pronunciation! Boy, you're on TV. Don't you got to know how to pronounce things on TV at least? I know here on YouTube we can get away with it.
Leader of the Wagner.
What did you call him? What was it?
Leader of the.
No, back a little bit.
Named Pirogozin.
Pirogozhin? What the fuck is that? Who is Pirogozhin, dude? Why are you on TV? Yeah, I don't know. We can't listen to that anymore after you did that. I mean, it's like one thing to call him intentionally like something funny, but that is just, what was that? Sounds like a pill, doesn't it? Sounds like something you get prescribed to yourself for having an itch or something. Prigozhin. What the hell is that? You talk to your doctor today and you too can get Prigozhin. Fucking 500 milligrams. Damn, dude. What the hell was that? Anyways, Russia's losses as of July 16th. Another 500 troops, 7 APVs, 8 vehicles and fuel tanks, 5 tanks, 18 artillery systems, 13 UAVs, 1 multiple launch rocket system, and 2 special equipment. That is Russia's total losses. So 500 troops there. You know, they're averaging about 500 to 600 as of the 16th, which is really, really good. Really, really good to see. More Russian losses. They continue their own invasion. It's their own fault for taking losses. That's an insane amount. Again, keep in mind that the U.S. Army, for example, the U.S. military, we lost about 7,000, a little over 7,000 troops in 21 years. 21 years in the Middle East, just wasting time, wasting lives of Americans. You know, we got nothing out of that. It was just dog shit war. And that, I mean, 7,000. Russia here in a little over a year and a half, 237,680. That's just insanity. And they have no intention of slowing it down at all. Orange hats in the chat for John Sweeney. I have some, I'm going to be hanging out with them on my birthday, I think, again. I asked him if I could get in on his war diary. I asked, listen, I was like, hey, my birthday's coming up on Wednesday, and I would really love to be on your war diary. And also I would like a signed copy of Killer in the Kremlin. And he said, we can do that. We can do that. So here's John Sweeney, War Diary Day 507. Another Russian general gets the boot.
Day 507 of Russia's war against Ukraine. Another Russian general is in trouble. This guy is called Selivestov, and he was fighting in the Bakhmut area, and he's been dismissed. Remember, a couple of days ago, the Russians dismissed General Popov too. Both of them, it seems, had the same grievances heard by Prigozhin, which is that the Russian Ministry of Defense are not doing a proper job. They're not supplying the Russian army with enough artillery, and good soldiers are dying. Now, you know, the context remains, Russia shouldn't have invaded Ukraine. But what's fascinating is that insubordination and trouble is becoming a thing at the very top of the Russian army at exactly when the Ukrainian counteroffensive appears to be biting. So what's happening is not that there isn't a war of movement. It's not moving fast or anything like it. It's very slow, grinding slow. But the word from the front line seems to be that the Ukrainians are creating a meat grinder, and the Russians really don't like it. And what the generals are doing are saying, the good ones are saying to their bosses, listen, this isn't working. We need more help. We need more artillery. Why aren't you doing something about it? And instead of dealing with their fundamental concerns, these guys are being sacked. So this tells you that this is a military that actually is in trouble, and that the Kremlin has a great problem in that it either wants loyalty or it wants effectiveness. And what it's doing is it's firing its effective commanders because they're saying the wrong kind of stuff. Once again, Vladimir Putin is a fragile monster. Vladimir Putin, do fuck off.
Fuck all the way off. Fragile monster. Lots of types of these people are very fragile. Very, very fragile. Sending them to the meat grinder, which again, that's what Prigozhin's problem was. Or how did that guy pronounce it? Prigozhin? However it is now. Yeah, they're being sent to their deaths without rifles, without body armor, without artillery. And again, that's Russia's choice to continue this invasion. Ukraine's got to defend their land. Ukraine's got to defend their territory against the Russians. Okay, they can't let them just take their country and fold. Right? They're brave, they're strong, so they're going to fight against the Russian machine. And I just lost my map. I love that. I love when that happens, actually. Let me pull this up quick. That's my favorite. All right, let me use this. It's a better map anyways. I can draw on it. I can't draw on the Google Chrome map. Actually, I like this laptop for that reason. Where's everybody watching from? Leave a like on the stream. Are you new? It's Sunday night here on Mercado Media. I'm live in Kyiv, Ukraine still. Here, just experiencing it. We had an air raid alarm today, first one in a few days. We've been having full night's sleep without any air raids, without any concerns. But today at like, it had to be like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I think it was like 6:30. We had an air raid alarm. So, and it was just, and they go off. The air raid alarms go off here, even if like a MiG just takes off for doing exercise in Russia. And that's so sad because to me, I mean, Ukraine knows exactly when the Russians leave their base in Russia and the MiG flies, those sirens go off here. And Ukraine could be hammering those bases and destroying those planes before they even take off and destroy the airfields. But because the West keeps handicapping Ukraine, that hasn't happened yet. Hopefully the ATACMS goes through soon. So in the positions in the south, nothing's changed. There's Kherson, Ukrainians, due to the flooding and other reasoning because the Russians destroyed the dam. The Ukrainians have been able to get to the other side of the river in certain places, but we haven't seen anything new in that region. Over in the Vaslivka direction, this is in Zaporizhia. Over in the Vaslivka direction, that's to the west of Orychkiv. You look at Ukraine's expanded their little area of influence over here a little bit, just south of Lobkov and also Piachachki. Little tiny change, nothing major yet in that part, but I mean, it's a change. Same with south of Orychkiv, just little tiny changes, specifically. Let me pull this up here. Let me clear that. Specifically, like here and a little bit there. But again, nothing major, but still you're seeing the Ukrainians gaining some ground in the south, right? Nothing major though. Golly, come on. No liberations, no new liberations to report on. That's been there, right? This is south of Huliopol. Ukrainian forces on Marfapil in Dozonarika. They've been there. And then also south of Velka Novosilka, you got the Ukrainians definitely trying to expand their area here, and in Novodonetsk. And if they can get that, that's just going to connect all of this and then connect all of this to here and fill in this gap. But they still need work to do. They haven't done it yet. But that is like the biggest, besides Bakhmut and the flanks, this is the biggest area of the Ukrainian influence in terms of their counteroffensive and gaining some ground back. But we just haven't seen any new villages liberated yet. Up here in the northeast, at Vidka, north of Donetsk, nothing's changed. I haven't heard many map changes, to be honest, y'all. Not too many territorial changes. There's reports of things, but nothing that we can really reflect on the map. But it's good that Ukraine still maintains these positions regardless. Okay, they maintain these positions regardless. The Russians haven't been gaining them back. Good news for that front, right? It means that Ukraine, even though it's a war of attrition, artillery, they're likely taking losses as well. They're maintaining their positions that they're maintaining their newly liberated positions, and Russia's not really pushing back on that territory. All right, wow, Bakhmut looks like they just totally. Oh, there it is. I was like, wait, did the map just like take away the blue here? So same situation here. The Ukrainians are on the flanks. Here's Chasiv Yar. Here's to the north of Bakhmut, the south of Bakhmut. That thing goes down pretty far. During Kruzh Marivka, no changes to report here. And they're still on the flanks. They're still trying to push into that Russian occupied territory. And the Russians haven't pushed back on anything. And also their efforts of 10 months inside of Bakhmut, they haven't gained anything new. Nothing new's happened. Okay. Nothing in this area. Just the Ukrainians holding their positions on the north and to the south of Bakhmut. And that's about it to report. And then we watched a video yesterday from the K254th Brigade, and they're in this region, just somewhere in here. So it's the Soledar Seversk direction. It's not, they don't give a precise location, obviously, operational security, but they're still maintaining their positions here and pushing to the east and to the south of Seversk. So nothing major, you guys. Map wise, like John said, it's an attrition battle right now. Ukraine needs air power. They need long range missiles to carry out bigger attacks and more counteroffensives. They really need those. They need to be able to hit those Russian bases so they can't retreat to them. They cannot go back and get back to their bases because Ukraine has taken them out. That needs to happen. We're going to continue now with some combat videos and clips. Look at that, 43,364, you guys. We are literally 2,646 euro away. Can we do it? Can we complete this goal tonight? What do you guys think? Do you think we'll complete the third truck tonight or tomorrow? It's up to you guys. We got this. I can contribute when I get paid this week to the next truck. I already threw $900 into it myself. I post all that to my Telegram channel and my Discord server, which you should definitely join for a Mercado Media community. We have a great community. I post everything like personal wise that's happening with me, like background notes on Mercado Media that I can't necessarily like go into and dive into on the stream every time, but I post them on my Discord server. And I also posted today on Instagram, and I also share my Instagram links on Discord as well. All right, so just some words from Antony Blinken. He says Putin has already lost. Russia shows no signs of shows no signs of changing direction in its war on Ukraine, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Friday, as foreign ministers from 24 countries met in Indonesia's capital for Southeast Asia's annual security gathering. 2 diplomats from China, United States, and Russia were among those who traveled to Jakarta for the ASEAN Regional Forum, where the broad-based agendas are typically hijacked by geopolitical flare-ups. Speakers for reporters after the talks concluded, Blinken said there was no indication that Russia was willing to engage in meaningful diplomacy on the war, which Moscow calls a special military operation, and launched in February 2022. So let's listen.
Putin has already lost in terms of what he was trying to achieve in Ukraine. Remember, this was about, for Putin, erasing Ukraine from the map, ending its independence, subsuming it into Russia. That's failed and cannot succeed. The question now is exactly where and how this ends. Fundamentally, these decisions need to be up to Ukraine because it's about its future, it's about its people, it's about its land, its freedom. We haven't seen any signs from Russia that it's actually willing to engage in meaningful diplomacy and end the war that it started. Russia's war of aggression on Ukraine continues to harm not only Ukrainians, but people across this region. It is essential that we extend and expand the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which Russia is threatening to end once again on July 18. If Moscow follows through on its threat, developing countries, including in the region, will pay the price, including quite literally with higher food prices as well as greater food scarcity. As we work to extend the initiative, we also stand ready to support a just and lasting peace to the conflict based on the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence. Principles that are at the heart of the United Nations Charter and ASEAN's Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, and that reflect the desire of people and nations in every part of the world to be able to choose their own path. I think there's a clear demand signal from around the world, including countries in this region, that at the very least, If Russia's not going to end its horrific war of aggression against Ukraine, at the very least, it extend the Black Sea Grain Initiative so that these food products can get out to the world, keeping prices down, keeping supply up. Well, I think you saw just this week in Vilnius, dozens of countries take very concrete measures in continuing support of Ukraine as it tries to defend its territory, as it tries to retake land that was seized from it by Russia, as it works to protect its people, its freedom, and its future. You saw that in the very robust package of support that all of the NATO countries provided to Ukraine, both politically and practically, including measures that will extend over many years to strengthen Ukraine's defense institutions, to help pursue the process of reforming them, to make them more interoperable with NATO. You saw that as well in something that was announced by the G7 countries with some other partners, a commitment to Ukraine's security, and to now negotiating on a bilateral basis with these countries and Ukraine security programs, security assurances that will strengthen for years to come Ukraine's ability to defend itself and to deter aggression. It may be the best way to disabuse Vladimir Putin of the idea that he can somehow outlast Ukraine and outlast the dozens of countries that are supporting Ukraine in defense of its freedom and its future. And that's the quickest way, probably, to bring this war to an end, because as long as Putin believes he can just continue this indefinitely, despite the horrific costs that he's incurred on Russia itself, the damage that he's done to his own country is extraordinary across the board. It is militarily, economically, much weaker than it was. Its standing in the world has plummeted. 1 million Russians have left the country. So many have been killed on the battlefield in a meat grinder of Putin's own making.
Thank you.
His own making. Again, Russia's choice invasion of Ukraine, right? No one told them to. No one, the whole laundry list of nonstop reasonings and the goalpost changes and the narratives that change of why Russia invaded are just nonsense bullshit, all right? Always. And we had Rick the Ukrainian on, he was a great content creator, he was under Russian occupation, spoke on it himself. Again, the whole Russian speaking thing, bullshit, like there's so much Russian that was spoken here. Things are, when you go out to restaurants, there's still a Russian language option in certain places, but it's just become a nonsense. But here's an example that we went into the other night about the presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy, who is like the third option. Propagandists are promoting him as like this, as literally the third option to Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So the Russia in South Africa embassy, so literally a Twitter account, right? Or the official Twitter account for the embassy of Russia in South Africa reposted Robert F. Kennedy's words and says, "We have surrounded Russia with missiles and military bases, something that we would never tolerate if the Russians did that to us." Stupid argument. Stupid. Why would anybody want the Russian military anywhere? The Western countries want our military there. They want our training. They want our capability. Clearly, hello, they want our shit. They want our troops. They want our standards. They want our procedures. So to frame it like this is just absolute garbage. But here's 58 seconds of cope from Robert F. Kennedy.
Administrations have pushed NATO to Russian borders, violating our own solemn promise from the early 90s when we pledged that if Russia made this terrible concession of moving 400,000 troops out of...
And it never happened. Never, ever, ever, ever did that happen. There's no official document. There's no treaty. There's nothing that we signed saying that we would not move, NATO wouldn't expand at all. That's bullshit, garbage. You can say that we promised and we did. That didn't happen. Sounds like he's being electrocuted, dude. Sounds like his balls are just being like he's got two fucking batteries like to his balls at all time. Like, you guys remember Harry from Home Alone? That's what he sounds like. Okay, dude, insane. It's because some fucking State Department representative told what's his name? Who was the Russian president, Gorbachev at the time or whatever, that we won't expand. Who cares if that means dick? That doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. All right, absolutely nothing. NATO expansion is dependent upon if the country that wants to join NATO, they have to go through a whole like we're waiting. The whole Ukraine process is a pain in the ass, isn't it? Waiting for Ukraine to join. We know that they can't because they're at war, and you can't join NATO while you're at war. But it's a whole membership process to get in, and countries themselves have to put the application in. It's not like a NATO thing going, we're going to take this country and we're going to now take this country. It's quite the fucking opposite. So whenever someone frames it like this, it's full-on Russian propaganda nonsense.
Of moving 400,000 troops out of East Germany and allowing the unification of Germany under a NATO army, a hostile army.
Oh, really?
And we would commit that after that, we would not move NATO 1 inch to the east. And James Baker gave that assurance, as did the British government officials and many, many others.
Doesn't give them a fucking any difference at all. Who cares what they said at the time? Who cares who cares the words? There was no treaty written. There was nothing. There was no official documents. There's nothing recorded in history that you can go back and say the United States signed this deal or whatever. NATO signed this deal that no countries close to Russia would join. It's entirely upon if the country themselves want to join NATO.
And yet today we have surrounded Russia. We have moved it not 1 inch to the east, but 1,000 miles and 14 nations. We have surrounded Russia with missiles and military bases, something that we would never tolerate.
Russia has the biggest country in the goddamn world. The country takes up the 3/4 of it, right? Biggest stupid country in the world. They only focus on 2 cities, and the rest of it's tundra and Potomkin villages. But to say this is just garbage. Like, the Russians invade their neighbor countries. Countries that join NATO want the U.S. military there. They want the British military there. They want tons of Western military power to protect them from Russian invasion. So when someone like Robert F. Kennedy is making this argument, it's because he's a paid Kremlin agent.
If the Russians did that to us.
If the Russians did that to us. Yeah, the Russians wouldn't be able to do that to us because their military is bottom of the barrel feeding. Who'd want what? So their people's farm animals get. Oh, dude, I shouldn't even say that because I'll probably get kicked off of YouTube. But what do you want? Do you want the Russian military so they can make squalor everywhere? They can have a squatting fest, have trash everywhere, so they can go into someone's country and trash it, and have garbage piles everywhere. What the fuck you mean, dude? Nobody wants the Russian military anywhere. So when you're making that argument, it's a nonsensical bullshit argument, you guys. Nonsensical bullshit argument. Well, it doesn't stop there because, again, we have a presidential election coming up, and it's just going to be a shit show it's going to be a shit show for the United States coming up in the elections. Tucker Carlson discussing Donald Trump on Rusty Rockets, which, again, that's going to be Russell Brand there for you. He's another popular propagandist at this point. And I tried listening to him in 2020 because he framed himself as like this. He does really good at it too. Like, he tries to make it seem like you're involved in the conversation and let's figure this out together and we're fighting misinformation while he's pulling up articles from the gray zone constantly. Like, every article he pulls up is from Max Blumenthal, damn near, and far left and far right commentators, and he's using those articles as let's figure this out together. We're in this together type shit, right? And that's how he dupes you. He gets you in that way, and then he just feeds you nothing but propaganda the entire time, just bullshit. So on the Rusty Rockets podcast, Tucker Carlson, I think looking back to this 10 years from now, assuming we're still around, I think we're going to see Trump's emergence as the most significant thing that happened to American politics in 100 years because he oriented the Republican Party against the wishes of the Republican leaders. He destroyed the Republican Party, if anything. It didn't reorient reoriented. Wow, that's one way to put it. Yeah, he's absolutely fucking destroyed the Republican Party. I'm struck by this for his policy views. You know, Trump is the only person with a stature in the Republican Party who really is saying, wait a second, why are we sending an endless war in Ukraine leaving aside whether Trump is going to get the nomination or get elected president would be a good president. I can't even assess that. All I can at this point is I'm so grateful he is in that position. He's right and everyone in Washington is wrong. Everyone. And Trump is right. And on that question is a big question. That war is reshaping the world. It's reshaping the economy of the world. It's reshaping populations. Yeah. Russia's fucking choice to invade Ukraine definitely has ramifications to it beyond just Ukraine, right? It's got a world. They got their rubles just tanking. The gas prices went up like crazy. They've affected grain and other goods that go out of Ukrainian ports from getting to other countries. They've really fucked up, haven't they? But people like Tucker Carlson and Trump will, even though Trump's running for president, Robert F. Kennedy running for president, they will blame the United States for that. And like they are the United States, and it's just fucking stupid. So here's a minute and 38 seconds of Tucker Carlsonivsky promoting Russian propaganda upon Ukraine.
I think looking back on this 10 years from now, assuming we're still around, I think we're going to see Trump's emergence as the most significant thing to happen in American politics in 100 years.
Yeah, because of his failures and because of the stolen documents that he's taken, which is worse than Watergate now at this point, in my opinion.
Because he reoriented the Republican Party against the wishes of Republican leaders. But when I think about Trump right now, so it's July of 2023, I'm struck by his foreign policy views. Trump is the only person with stature in the Republican Party, really, who's saying, wait a second, why are we supporting an endless war in Ukraine?
An endless war in Ukraine. Why are we supporting it? Because the Russians continue this invasion. They can pull their troops out and then the war ends. They could end their nonsense. They could pull their soldiers out, pay reparations to the Ukrainians, apologize, obviously, but then it's going to take, because that's what Starsky said, that they need to, even regular Russians need to ask for forgiveness for their invasion and their genocide of Ukrainians. They need to pay them reparations, and they need to pull their military out, and then the war ends. Until then, Ukraine's going to be getting aid, and people that like Tucker Carlson that's going to propagandize the aid to Ukraine as if it's some endless war, and we're just funding the Ukrainians forever and ever and ever. Yeah, we're supposed to. The Budapest Memorandum, we took their nukes away. We took their nuclear weapons away. That was a deterrent for piece of shit countries like Russia to invade them. And we have an obligation to protect them and help them because we signed that treaty. Trying to talk about people that just go off of some random State Department officials' words to Gorbachev in the 90s about, oh yeah, we won't expand NATO, but the actual signed treaties and documents that we're living to and helping, like they just will never mention those.
And that, leaving aside whether Trump's going to get the nomination or get elected president or would be a good president, I can't even assess that. All I can say at this point.
You can't even assess that? Trump was our president for 4 years already, fucking moron.
Point is, I'm so grateful that he has that position. He's right. And everyone in Washington's wrong. Everyone. And Trump is right on that question. And it's a big question. That war is reshaping the world. It's reshaping the economy of the world. It's reshaping populations. I was just in Romania last week, which is, of course, shares a border with Ukraine. The refugees in... Yeah,
Romania will give you a good idea of what Ukraine is like, right? It borders Ukraine, though.
In that region, the number of people killed in that war. Europe will never be the same because of this war. And
Europe will be stronger because of the assistance to Ukraine and standing up to Russia and not letting it happen. They would have been weaker by not assisting Ukraine at all and allowing the Russians to take the country, right? That just absolute horseshit. Like, he is just full of shit. Just absolutely full of shit on top of shit.
It really matters. And Trump alone among popular figures in both parties understands that, and I'm grateful for it. Whether he gets the nomination or gets elected, words really matter. Saying something true out loud matters. And he is saying true things about Ukraine, and God bless him. That's how
he's saying nothing true about Ukraine, and God bless him, dude. These people are just like, dude, we're fucked. I'm telling y'all, the United States. I told you guys last year that the next election, despite the majority being supportive of Ukraine, it's got to continue. People got to continue. You got to continue talking about Ukraine, continue sharing streams that people talk about it, like our channel here at Mercado Media. make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're talking to your politicians, because there's a big effort that's going to happen in this next election to undermine the aid to Ukraine. And people are going to, what about everything? The money being sent to Ukraine. Well, what about our streets? What about our people? What about our veterans? And the same people that do that always vote against every single bill that will help veterans, that will help the homeless, that will help the people, and call it socialism. So it's just a big circle jerk of fuckery. And this guy is definitely one of the leaders of that. One of the leaders of that. There you go, Jackson Hinkle sharing his video. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they had him on Turning Point USA. He did a big monologue. This is funny though. Here's a minute compilation of Tucker laughing during his own speeches today. Here's this guy. Anyone that does this just needs probably a mental check.
I will say it's tempting. Whoever said do it, you're the devil on my shoulder. Do it! I've spent my whole life. No. Thank you. Probably not gonna get very far, right? What?
It's got to be a eunuch to do that, right? You gotta have like your balls cut off to be able to do that like that, right?
Shut up! This is running the world. Like, what wouldn't they do? Oh, right. Good point. What? Shut up! Racist insurrectionist! Okay. Shut up! Okay. Entire approach! So if I could just give you one piece of advice, after 27 years in the television business, don't trust a man with numb gums.
Don't trust a man that wears a bow tie either. Bam, got his ass. Hell yeah, Jon Stewart. This dude's been canned from every mainstream news program he's been on for 27 years. Yeah, take his advice. He didn't even make it on Fox News, for crying out loud, bro. Golly, he's been on everything. CNN, MSNBC, and Jon Stewart roasted his bow tie, and he doesn't wear that anymore. Just ruined his life after that, dude. And now he's just forever and ever and ever. Russian forces are pushed back out of the forest area by Ukrainian fighters of the Decepticons platoon. So let's go through a couple combat videos. Not a whole lot of combat clips today. It's a Sunday. Not a whole lot of new videos, but tomorrow, Monday, comes around. Likely have a new fresh batch of combat clips and events. That's it for the Russian state media propaganda. It's from Tucker Carlson and Robert F. Kennedy for the day. I don't have any new state media clips to play for you guys, but that is your Russian propaganda. So Russian forces are pushed back out of forest area by Ukrainian fighters of the Decepticons. Also, if you guys could please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't. Let's check the numbers here. We're at 43,402 euros. So, I mean, you guys got a little bit of time left here by the end of this stream, but I'm really hoping we can smash this tomorrow. Definitely by like my birthday, it would be great, so we can get this guaranteed and I can come back for the September convoy. Right, and I already talked to Dimitri, and that could be had, but we got to get this vehicle fundraised. So GG's to everybody. 349 donations so far to this. We're nearly there, y'all. Nearly there. Here we go. About 3 minutes of combat video here. Decepticons.
Отам десь!
This is the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade.
Біля драбини дивіться щось!
Я гранату кину!
Азімут, перенос огня трохи далі трошки, акуратно!
Обходим справа і слева! Давай, кидай!
Що там, є що там?
Давай, закидывай.
Ну там розгрузка лежала, і каска, і всяка хуйня. Єба!
Golly.
Детройт, нас накрили! Откатуємося далі, наверное. Дацик, що робимо? Сука! Дацик, Галичина 300, я 300. Давай, Гал, нормально? Да. Давай, братан, сука.
Выйдите, блядь, на гребаный, блядь.
Сука. Блядь.
Де в тебе 30? Що ти?
Братан, я точно не уверен, но так уебало в боку. Давай. Цинкуй, открывай.
Где, Валер? Выходи. Что надо выталкивать? Что там,
Бочина. Нормально. Пулик сзади пулик.
Я все заберу. Речи скиньте на обочину. Да, спускаемся.
Все нормально. Я стою, блядь. Все хорошо.
Налево, и все.
So that is from the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, pushing in on Russian positions and also taking some artillery there, the fighters of the Decepticons platoon. All right, part 4 of the Foreign Fighter Combat GoPro from CivDiv. It was literally just posted before I went live tonight, so we're going to be seeing this for the first time. And here it is, part 4 from the infantry perspective of what happened on the ground that day on June 10th in Zaporizhia. Let's check this out. June 10th, Zaporizhia, Southern Frontline, Part 4. As explained in Part 3, they're waiting to push the artillery. Oh.
I'm right here.
Okay.
The hospital was...
Okay, Trevor can go. They're not a fucking neo-Nazi unit. You're done. Thanks for playing.
Behind us, 100 meters left.
What the f?
The one in front of us is still there.
Okay. So, is your vehicle the one nearest the intersection? I'm the other way. I'll turn around.
In Koniak's footage, we know they're confused about what Husky will pick them up because the original had to switch Kazovac vehicles.
We cannot come out any further from the tree line and we'll be exposed.
Axel just mentioned how they aren't going out of the tree line too far because the drones will observe them. They want the drones to lose track of the group. Hello, Washington.
What is it? I only saw the very small hole here.
It's like behind his ear and on his neck right there. I think it's the overpressure that like is collapsing.
I was like 2 meters away from him.
I was right in front of him. When I looked back, I saw he was laying down, but I thought he was just taking the prone.
Me too, but then I saw him not moving it.
Hey, Jack! Yeah. Hey, Rhodes calling you! Send it for Jack.
Jack, drone. Hi, Jack. Roger. Did you see us moving? Did you see us?
Check is
negative. I don't see anybody.
Is he behind us?
He's probably behind us.
Get back in.
If you see him, waving down.
He's on the way. We see him.
Woo! Ah, boy. So the impacts that are hitting, we're to the right of those, immediate right.
Okay, I am driving up and down this road. Like
Axel and Arnie are both selflessly exposing themselves to artillery to get the attention of Cognac. Meanwhile, Cognac is taking on a medical evacuation job, which was not supposed to be his role.
Arnie's coming out. Look out for Arnie.
He's waving his rifle in the air so Cognac sees he's a friendly and doesn't instinctively fire at him. There's Cognac up there now.
Hey, bring him up, let's go! He's right here, coming in. Hey, let's go!
Shut, pick that shit. Get the branch. Move, come on. I have to hold the branch. Sorry, bro.
You're good.
I love you, Chapo. Stay in there, bro. The tube is mine.
Arnie mistook it. Sorry, I'm reading the PayPal. If you guys is because you guys does the donation link not work for you? Sending it to my PayPal and then it's because I have to transfer it out and like PayPal takes money from that and then I gotta send it in. So the best way is to donate yourself to the thing. I mean, thank you for I'll put the $130 into it right now as I'm sitting here, but unless like it won't let you, please just send it to the link that's in the description. Don't send it to my PayPal. But I will put that in right now though.
They're doing it right now.
I don't know. Hey, stand here, going with. Coming with us. Going with. Where do I take him?
No.
Go.
Wait. Ah, yeah. Hey. Yeah. Sorry, bro.
All right, I just put, how much is that in US dollars? I just put 208 euro in. How much is that in US dollars? Like what, probably like 230 probably. Let me check for you guys quick. Let me check. Um, 279. Okay. All right, well that's done. All right, but again, send it directly to the link. Don't send it to my PayPal.
Friendly!
They finally got the teammate into the evacuation vehicle and now we'll be preparing to push up.
All right, I want a head count real quick.
Arnie, here!
Get down, stay low. It's air burst right now. We need to consolidate the main body element at the crossroad intersection. Check your gear, check your people, be ready to move in 30 seconds. You got hit? Yeah. Whoa! Huh? Arnie, you good?
I'm good.
Mechanic, I'm good! Hey, how many guys you got with you?
Check where you are.
What?
Where you at?
Right behind you, 6 o'clock, 5 meters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he got hit in the. He's got a neck problem.
Keep it down over there, I believe. All right, Misha, I want you to take 3 guys.
What's his name?
Link up with
Arnie.
Okay,
forward,
Mike.
okay? 3 guys. Keep us right there. Stop pushing forward to the edge of the tree line, okay? Axel.
Arnie and Mike.
Axel. Quarter. Yo, are there any English speakers over there? I can hear them talking. Right here. All right. No, hey, Jabroni and Stubbs are still with the Ukrainians.
This video cuts when they moved up to the intersection as planned and begins again when they're pinned down by airburst. They're about to cross the road, just waiting for the other Ukrainian team to be set. The ambience will end soon with the airburst directly over them. You'll see how they're affected by rounds exploding above them and how the shockwave injures people just like you saw with the first casualty. Yeah, it's mentally exhausting, physically exhausting. They're in an SLLS halt where they'll stop and set security, look into their sectors, listen for the nearby enemy, and even smell for any evidence of nearby enemy activity. Use your senses. You're also just in general keeping a low profile to avoid detection from drones, which will call in artillery. I highly recommend headphones for this segment. It'll get loud. God dang.
Don't sit down. Oh, that hit right next to me. Yeah, you got my back. It's always in the fucking legs. It's always in the Are you good? You good, man? Give me a minute to reassess my dad. Oh, good. Hey, can we move back a little? Yeah, that'd be wise. Thank you. I'm good. Another one hit it. Ricochet or something. I can. Oh, walk right now. Did you see that dust me? Give me a few seconds to heal up. God, I don't know what the hell that was.
Hey, Jack, make sure you're good.
Yeah, okay, just give me a second.
No, of course, bud.
He's got to see if he's injured or not.
Do you know what it was?
No idea. Explosion.
When you get hit, like you have adrenaline that kicks in, so it's like hard to tell right away if you have an injury. So he's got to like settle down a bit and see if there's actual bleeding or any injuries that he might have sustained there, or if he just was hit with debris. Either a ricochet or rocket seemed to injure him. Everyone is staying calm with certain death just 5 meters away. Yeah, pressure, exactly. I met him at a bar I was invited to along with others you've seen on the channel. They're doing fine now for the most part, but the long-term effects of artillery exposure is something everyone deals with differently.
What's going on?
Indirect.
What Jeep you said?
Dude.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna occupy that tree line. We're gonna put one shot covering the road there, And one covering the field right here. Yep. All right. Arnie, Sass.
Roger.
Brent, on me.
Get down. Woo.
Yeah, something. Hey, Mike, into the first.
There's many foreigners who don't go on missions like this. The fact they volunteered with the Ukrainian unit and not some cozy job says a lot about them.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Hey, Axel. Axel. Say again what's going on.
Hold on. We're gonna push. Shut up, man. We're gonna push him. Dude, shut up, please. We're gonna push him to the tree line over there.
Right.
Set one south facing this field and one covering the road over there.
Roger.
Ukrainians are gonna occupy that position. This is as far as we're going for right now. This is our LOA.
I'm gonna bring the rockets.
All right. All right.
LOA means limit of advance, basically meaning that they're at the spearhead of the attack.
Give me a second, I need to grab the backpack.
Move it back. Eagles.
Keep in mind, just to get the attack, they have to brush off this artillery fire and push forward at a slow pace. Picture D-Day. This is the slog they're in. God dang. Into your danger area, you gotta cross the road.
Moving! Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's just. Yeah. Hey, we got Ukrainians this way.
There are Ukrainians that are 6. All right, friendly forces.
Friendly.
Okay. Yeah. Give me a saw over this way. Understood, coming. Let's see here. Go. Okay, Arnie, push in that way a little bit.
Yeah. How far?
About 10 feet down.
Yep. You want me right in the middle where I can't see anything?
I just head in that direction, but if you need to move around a little bit where you can see something.
All right. Gotcha.
I want to mention that these guys are all incredibly experienced and are all qualified to be a team leader. Team leaders are parts of the unit, just like being the RPG gunner or anything. There's no ego attached, and each of them do an excellent job filling their roles.
And the Ukrainians are digging. Come here a second. Are we gonna stay with the Ukrainians here? Because they're starting to dig.
They're not. Maybe they got told to reinforce over here on this side. So that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, they were told to move over here. Alright. Alright.
The Ukrainians are digging in because they're probably the cover or support element.
Over here. Yeah.
Arnie takes his time to get some water and rest up. Carrying an RPG and all its rockets plus armor takes everything else needed for the mission. It's not easy in this heat. Part 5 will come soon. Meanwhile, I'll be editing and working on non-stop. Because of this, I want to thank all the members for your support. Slava, Ukraine. All right, that was part 4 of the Foreign Fighter Heavy GoPro, and that is really all I got for you guys tonight. Let's check the total here. Ah, 44. Oh wow, 44,321. You guys, hey, you guys feel free to continue donating to that tonight, throughout the night, if you're watching after the fact, because again, I know we're a lot earlier than usual. Would it be 1, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6? Yeah, it's 6:45 p.m. So we're like still at least a half hour earlier than when I'd usually start from right now, and we're just ending. When I do get back to the US, we will be back on our normal time frame at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. So I do thank everybody that's been tuning in at this time, so that way I can get some sleep still, because now it's 1:45 in the morning and I'm tired. I'm so tired, because then we also got to wake up and we're doing our Good Morning Kyiv stream, and tomorrow we're gonna have Philip Ittner on. You guys have been recommending him for the longest to come on the show and come on our program, and he is going to. And you can check that out on our YouTube channel. This morning we had Johnny FD on. Amazing conversation. If you missed that, please go and check that out. He's cool, right? Me and Alex talked with him. The day prior we had Mick Dundee. He's an Australian foreign fighter and foreign volunteer. And then we had Rick the Ukrainian and Starsky. And before that, we had Starsky. And before that, we had John Sweeney and Starsky. So we're just having a blast with our Good Morning Kyiv stream. And you can expect that in the morning. And again, that's about, that'd be like, well, in morning for me, it'd be about, midnight for East Coast audience, and 11 to 11:15 p.m. Central Time. So and that's 7 in the morning my time here. So I'll see you guys in like 6 hours from now, a little less than 6 hours. And like Alex told me before I went live, he's like, "Bro, you really picked 2 shit times to go live." And it's like I gotta do something, because y'all like during the daytime are working and whatnot, so you can't watch during the daytime. I've already built my audience for over a year to be at a certain time. This is the best I can do for now. So I'm just doing the best I can to keep my algorithm going. And I do thank everybody that's tuning in at the various times that I can be live and talk with you about the Ukraine war. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, donate to the NAFO 69th Stiffing Brigade so we can get that 3rd truck complete. We're literally like €1,000 away, a little under €2,000 away now. So we will likely finish that tomorrow during the Good Morning Kyiv stream, if not definitely during the war stream. Thank you guys again so much. But before we go, I'm going to thank everybody that sent money to the super chats here on YouTube and super stickers. Starting with Jim, 1 month membership. Let's go, Merc. Hope you're keeping your head down. Doing all right. Richie, Merc's hide and seek lessons fun. Thank you. Well, Lewis, how much do roofs cost? Nothing, because they're on the house. Hi, hey MJ, welcome to level 1. Joy, thank you for so much for the super stickers. Chris says, excellent streams lately, Andrew. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much for that, Chris. Russ says he's South African. Oh, you're talking about Elon Musk. Yeah, he's not even OG American. Gene Mark Pagan Owl, ask supporter for unused air miles to help your travel. Yes, I will plan that next time, because I'll have another whole, because now I have my passport. I was stressing about tons of things before I had left, and I don't have to stress about those things anymore, so I could just focus on getting the plane ticket and everything and go a better route. Hello from Denmark. Ukraine Matters from Captain Copenhagen. Good platform there. Duncan U23, good evening, Kyiv. Good evening from Michigan, northeast of hell, says thank you so much. Justin Trudeau sent $20 super chat. Bambi, thank you. Diamolo, welcome to level 2. Sierra Star says, Mercado, keep up the good work. Cool sweatshirt. Hell yes. More to come with that. Roger with the $9.99 super sticker. Christina upgraded membership to level 2. Justin Trudeau again with the $2 super chat. Donnie Wright upgraded to membership level 2. Benny says, travel fun. Thanks for showing all Orc Hunters Ukraine, mate. Make me want to sell up and move to Ukraine. I tell you what. Wendy, thank you so much for the super sticker. And David says, keep smiling. I'll try to, but I'll definitely be able to smile more after I get some sleep. So with that, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. Leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, go check out all of the vlogging I've been doing while I've been here, and the live streams as well. We've done tons of content. It's still Sunday afternoon. Lock in, go support Mercado Media a bit, watch some of the videos and the streams if you haven't, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have a good night.